I said before that soundbite, I said, amazing what he's done in his community. Unbelievable what he's done building his school, building his brand, showing players how to be more than just a basketball. All those things are incredible. Very similar to stuff that you've done, Jalen, quite honestly, in terms of giving back to his community, not separating himself from his community. And you know what? I'm sure he was a great teammate to you. And I'm sure he was fun to coach for you. But you know what? That was then. That was then. LeBron James, 17th year in the league. He's playing with a group of dudes that were 1 and 2 years old when he came into the league. Mm-hmm. He is the leader of that team. He came to L.A. He is the face of that team. I don't care. You coached for a bunch of years. You take a guy and you put him at the end of the bench looking at the stat sheet. You take a guy who's the face of your organization, put him at the end of the bench, and he's talking to Tyson Chandler and giggling and laughing while the game's going on. It's just as easy for LeBron James to do that, or is it even easier for him? He doesn't have to be in the huddle, but he's got to be part of it. If he's mentoring these young kids, and I heard about, he took them to dinner or he went out, that's great. What's the optics of that? What about, what you're going to say, LeBron James, who he is, whether you can say he's a role model or not a role model, you're going to see a high school kid do that next year. You're going to see a college guy do that next year. There's a right and a wrong way of doing things. And those kids that he's playing with now that were 2 and 3 years old, all right, they are Generation Y, I guess, is that what and LeBron James, your generation, are millennials.
Well, I'm going to
And you grew up totally differently. And those young kids, all right, they're not following him. That's just the way it is. They might go to dinner with him, but you know what? When they said, you know what, dude, hey, I want Anthony Davis also. But the manner in which that happened, he totally splintered that locker room. And you can say he's not a coach killer, but I'll tell you one thing. By sitting at the end of the bench, what is he saying to Luke Walton? He's saying, dude, I'm not part of this mess. All right, this is on you. We'll bring in my own guy next year. That's what's happening.
Well, I'm going to say this. Those kids that you're talking about, they're professionals. Yeah, and they have to go out and do a job. And LeBron James, in his 16th year in the league, he's not a babysitter, okay? He has to lead by example, and I've said on multiple occasions, he has not all year long done the right things. I'm not sitting here saying that he's blameless and he's done all the right things all year long, but when he goes out, he plays 110% every night out, and if those guys if those guys can't look at him and what he's done, his body of work, and follow because of that, then you have a problem all in itself in that franchise.
Damon, his body, look, I think the guy's incredible. I mean, what he does on the court is incredible. He does things we've never seen. Forget about what he does on the court. It's great that they see it and follow, but they also see those other things. They also see when he talks about himself and then how hard he plays. I could go to the video and just flat taking plays off. So you can't point the finger and not hold yourself accountable in a certain manner. Look, as a basketball player, incredible. As a person in his community and what he's done outside of basketball, unbelievable. But in this moment in time, it's not just what he does on the court. In this moment in time, it's how he carries himself on the court, in the locker room, with those guys on the bench. When you separate yourself and go outside the circle, right, basically you are separating yourself from the team. That's the message he's sending to these first-year, second-year, third-year players, that type of behavior, if things don't go right, is acceptable, and that's unacceptable.
Let me get Jalen in the conversation here. All of this part of this conversation began because Walt Frazier made a point of it on Sunday. I never really got to ask you the question. Do you think it is an issue for him to be sitting apart? DJ says he's been doing it forever. That is true. Is it an issue? I mean, did Clyde have a point?
I love Clyde, and he just taught me a word. Can you tell me what it means? What does
proletariat.
Proletariat.
Okay.
Clyde always teaches.
I'm using this as a learning experience. Thank you, Clyde. Here's the thing. I want to spin it forward to the fact that what would Magic say? Okay, because Magic is my childhood idol. Okay, I've worked with Magic. I stay in contact with him. I know a lot of what Clyde said is how he feels about the game.
Is how who feels?
It's how Magic feels about the game. He's all about inclusion. He's all about leadership. This situation is different because as somebody that's lived in Los Angeles for over 20 years and continues to work out of Los Angeles, I know how the pulse of the fans are. And I know he's following Kobe Bryant. And I know that Kobe Bryant had the mentality in LA, all he did was play basketball. He was before social media. He wasn't in production at that time. He wasn't A&R in albums. And all I know is the people out there aren't going to appreciate the 16 years of LeBron before he got there. All they want to do is see how he's going to bring a championship to LA. And I don't want what I consider some lost tape moments, because you know what happens in our career. When we play a long time, you get in certain situations where your minutes ain't right, the wins ain't right, the opportunity ain't right. I don't want LeBron's body of work to be stained by the situations that are happening this year, like showing up with a glass of wine, like being on the end of the bench, because he's built up so much equity that I don't want to see that get damaged.
Do you think that they will be stained really quickly?
Well, for this season, it's happened.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to the playoffs, and the season isn't over, and we know that they aren't. Nobody felt like that they were going to be out of the race at this point of the season. But however, as young players, it's this thing called do as I say, not as I do. And he's earned the equity to do whatever he kind of wants to do. And so you don't want the other 14 players doing that, I'm sure, Coach.
Yeah.
So at the same time, it's like he has his latitude and we're going to the lottery. I'm going to do what I need to do.
All right, we got condensed today, so I have to get to other things. You have a very quick final thought.
Let me put my bow on this.
Go.
16 years, he's been to 9 finals.
Yes.
Okay? He's done the same thing the whole time. The only reason we're talking about this right now in these sound bites and these different pictures, tape that we're seeing, is because the Lakers are not winning. That's it.
Probably
That's
fair.
the bottom line.
And can I say one other thing? Like, he's so great and he's so media savvy. So I'm interested to see if he's going to continue to put those visuals out there. Because I'm pretty sure these conversations have been had internally.
Magic
so let's
had to
see
have
what
talked to him.
happens.